Heather,
Chris,
thank you for joining me here at Studio 51.
thank you very much for inviting me.
You are the first guest at our inaugural presentation of a live cast, if you will, here at EMS Update.
Very cool.
So, so need to be the first one, and I'm proud to have the opportunity to interview you.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank
Absolutely.
you. I'm glad to be here.
Yep, absolutely. Good. So, Heather, real simple question, but I want to clear the air for a lot of people. Heather Harris versus Heather Sherrar. Can you explain? And I should probably explain as well that I ignored emails from Heather Harris for about a week until I decided, okay, who is this anyway? And came to realize it was you.
Yes. So I got married.
Okay.
So Heather Sherrar, people said it all kinds of different ways, has been my name longer than my maiden name was.
Yes, it has.
So now it's Harris.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
So congratulations on
Thank you very much.
Yeah, for you both.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome. So I like an icebreaker question. So tell us, all the viewers, something that people don't know about you.
I'm a ninja.
You're a ninja.
Just kidding. No.
Okay. Got me.
No. So I was very introverted as a kid.
Okay.
I was very shy. I would have never stood up in front of people to talk. I never would have come to conferences like this. I was very shy, very awkward, very backward.
Yeah. That is surprising. I've known you for a long time, and I would have not guessed that.
I know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Would it surprise you if I told you the same about me?
Yes, it would.
Yeah. I was very, very interested.
Isn't it funny?
I'm proud to say that I'm only slightly nervous to be doing this today. So that's just being completely honest, right? So, all right. So obviously we're here at an EMS conference.
Yes.
Lots of training going on. So many good people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here. That's great.
Yep, absolutely. And one of the things I would hope to do is give folks some sort of a takeaway from this, right? I mean, obviously they're going to learn about the Ambulance Association, going to learn about you. But have you ever had, an EMS experience, right, where you or a family member had to be treated by EMS? And why I asked that question is for you to give me sort of an in general, what was your experience with the crew, positive, negative? How can they have done better?
So I have two very specific experiences.
Okay.
So the first one was my mom. My mom lived with me for a lot of years, and she was in her 80s. And she was having issues with feeling dizzy.
Okay.
And so I ended up calling 911 for the first time ever in my life was for my mom. The crew was there. I lived in Perry County. And so the crew was there. I don't even think it was 10 minutes.
Okay.
And they were so kind. My mom is like, oh, this is my daughter. She's the executive director of the Ambulance Association. Like, they're going to know.
They have no idea. Right.
So yeah. They were very kind, and my mom had just a very pleasant experience.
Okay.
They got her to the hospital right away. She had nothing but good things to say. And then the second time, my friend Howard Schwartz and I were riding the MS Mason-Dixon Challenge.
Okay.
So it goes from Gettysburg down into Maryland and up and around, and it was like 100 miles. It was a very hot summer day. We had been seeing like 3 people. We stopped and we took pictures. They took pictures of us. They were from DC. We had this conversation.
Okay.
We're going up the last hill right before the descent into the hotel.
Okay.
And this car comes flying down past us. And of course, we have our EMS jerseys on, our EMS bike jerseys. So they're like, are you a paramedic? And I said, no, but he is.
Yeah.
And so then next thing I know, Howard comes flying up past me on his bike up the hill. And so one of the people that had been cycling went into cardiac arrest.
Oh, my.
So Howard did CPR on this person for 15 minutes before the ambulance came.
Oh, wow.
And then they put the Lucas device on, and it was my first time seeing the Lucas device in action, too. So, and it just so happened that I knew the organization, so I was able to find out a little bit, because Howard was asking, you don't get that closure with the patient.
Yeah.
So it was very good.
So both cases, the crew was in sounds quick in number one.
Yeah.
Which is what does the public judge us on first?
Right.
How quickly you got somewhere.
Right.
You know? And then it sounds like they were very professional.
Oh my gosh,
the entire time. And doing the right things and left a very good impression.
They did. Yeah, they did.
I had to go to calls where you get introduced, this is XYZ. right? And in your case, right, this is Heather, the executive director of the ambulance authority. It is like, oh my, so it really does up your game a little bit. And I call that, professional courtesy. And so I'm glad to hear why. Well, that's okay. No, the ambulance. Okay, you probably, and a lot of street providers, I suppose, don't, right? You know what I mean? Because the work you do is behind the scenes. Yes. We'll get into that, right? Okay. So good, but I'm glad you've had positive experience.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So your title is the executive director of the Ambulance Association of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Very good. What does that exactly entail?
Everything.
It does, everything. I know that. Okay. So tell me more. Nice try.
Yeah. Okay. That includes day-to-day interaction with members.
Okay.
Day-to-day interactions with legislators, legislative staff, insurers,
okay,
the administration, the Department of Human Services. It is creating relationships so that when we have issues to bring forward, like a recent medical assistance increase, you have relationships built. You've got that integrity built that they understand that you're telling them the truth. If they come back and they say they want more information, then I have to share that. I have to go to members and get that information. So it's information sharing, it's compliance, making sure that I'm communicating with members, like on the medical assistance increase or like with the hackers recently. And, so just making sure that members are informed. It's putting on educational conferences.
Okay.
It is doing what we can to make existing as an EMS entity a little bit easier.
Okay. Well, but it certainly is a good thing that you are no longer introvert, because you're not just talking to, you and I, you've obviously presented at lots of conferences. You have a lot of meetings, important meetings, right, with folks, at the state level. And then I know you've also been involved with, the other state association of ambulance authorities. Ambulance Association. So very neat. How long have you been with the Ambulance Association?
January the 16th was 18 years.
18 years?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that long, I must say. So
yeah, some days it seems like it was just yesterday, and then other days it's kind of like, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it has been definitely a long time.
I am the longest running executive director.
Yes. How long has the Ambulance Association even been around?
Since 1986.
Very neat. All right. I wasn't aware of that either.
Yeah, I just recently did a presentation at the Seven Mountains EMS Council.
Okay.
And it was on the history of the Medicaid reimbursement in PA. And it was really interesting to see. And in 1978, you got paid $20. And this is now 2024, and we're just now to the Medicare level.
Yeah.
It's just been a struggle.
Yeah. But the ambulance, you won, right? So good work.
Thank you.
So good. So any previous experience in EMS, and why I asked that, right, is sort of like what drew you to the Ambulance Association?
So years ago, the Ambulance Association was managed by Bill Baer.
I remember Bill.
Yeah, I worked for Bill.
Okay.
So I ended up leaving, and I went to work for AMR in Reading.
Okay.
And then I went to work for the Medical Society, and then they had a couple staff members in between, and they reached out to me. I had just gotten a raise at the Medical Society, so I was kind of like, no, not interested.
Right.
But then they called me back, and they were like, we would really like you to come work for us. So here I am.
18 years later.
18 years later.
And we talked earlier, but at least you got another 18 years in you, so that's great. Thank you very much. So good to hear. Right. So, so tell me more, if you will, about the Ambulance Association. And I guess, do all states have an ambulance association, or are we unique?
No, we're not unique.
Okay.
I meet with, we call it the State EMS Associations Networking Group.
Okay.
And so there are a lot of state associations. It might not be ambulance. It might be like there's the Kansas EMS Association. So it's like our counterparts, but their members are more individual members.
Okay.
Where with the Ambulance Association of Pennsylvania, it's more the organization.
Okay.
We also have individual members, but it's more the organization that's a member.
Okay.
So I think pretty much most of the states have something.
I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Right. Very neat. And I always understand or always state that there's over 1,000 ambulance services in Pennsylvania, right? In that ballpark, right?
Yeah.
So how many are members of the Ambulance Association of Pennsylvania?
Well, we have over 200,
Okay.
but I think it's a little deceiving when you say there's 1,000 ambulance services because that also includes QRS services.
It does. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So if you're looking at transporting entities, the last numbers we got from the Bureau was about 750.
It's interesting. I actually didn't know that there was a separation in that number.
Yeah.
I guess it's 1,000 licensed agencies, but 750 transport gate.
Yeah.
So the advantages of being a member of the Ambulance Association.
There's a lot.
Yes.
So it's communication. It is you get the first knowledge of things that are going on that we're aware.
Okay.
Like with the medical assistance increase, we shared information with members, the MCOs who had been notified, who was going to pay, how they were going to pay, what was retroactive. So that firsthand knowledge of stuff that's going on is huge.
Yeah.
Because normally that's what they want. They want that information.
It's communication.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you to elaborate on that. So with respect to, how do you stay in touch with the members? What are those main communication channels? Are there member meetings that people have to attend? Or is it primarily like a communication network per se?
Well, it's the member's choice, really. So we have board meetings pretty much every month. There's usually 5 or 6 that are face-to-face.
Okay.
Members are invited to come to that. There's an open invitation.
Okay.
A lot of times they don't have time because they're short-staffed.
Sure.
Everybody's working. You know how that goes.
Sure.
But they can come to board meetings so they can hear what the board is discussing. They can always reach out to me. I am a phone call away. I'm an email or a text away. And for the most part, it's email communication. We have an annual meeting at the reimbursement conference every year.
Okay.
So if members like to come to that. And then we are also starting a leadership academy, which you are very familiar with. Yes. We're working together on that. So then in the fall, we'll be able to kind of bring that out to the people.
Good. Very good. So I often talk to you about what I refer to as the Monday morning newspaper of EMS.
Right?
Can you elaborate?
Sure.
No, tell our viewers.
So the AAP Newsroom is a Monday morning newsletter that comes out, and it is a link to all of the press that has been out there related to EMS in Pennsylvania.
Sure.
And sometimes I include things from other states if it's pertinent or if I think it's something that they need to be aware of because it might be coming down the pike.
Yeah.
But that's every Monday morning.
It is very useful.
Good.
I share it amongst our staff. I share it with our board members. There are times when we find it necessary to even share it with our municipal managers.
Absolutely.
That type of thing.
Absolutely.
And I also share it with Walt Stoy. It's worth mentioning.
Oh, gosh. I saw
Walt
Walt
daily news. So he now has to be in on that. So it's one of the things I do.
Very nice.
So, sometimes people are concerned, is my agency too small to belong to something like this? Am I insignificant? What kinds of agencies should belong?
Every agency. Yeah. It's, I do have to say my board members and the members that are involved with the association are such a huge resource for me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do my job without them.
Sure. So nonprofits, authorities, private
Anybody can be a member.
everything.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the Ambulance Association is, I want to say, probably 87 to 90% nonprofit entities.
Okay. That's very reminiscent of the state to begin with.
Right. Exactly. And so we have a nice mix of large services, small services, volunteer services, combination, for-profit services. So anybody can become a member.
Awesome. And I understand that the board of directors is made up, it's a regional type of thing. Can you explain that?
Sure. There's 15 regions. So originally we had 6. So you cut the state in half horizontally, and then, we had 6 regions in the state. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to expand the board because we wanted more members to be involved.
Okay.
So we went from 6 regions to 15.
Okay.
So we've got 15 regional directors, and then we have, 11 regional directors, and then we have 2 affiliate representatives, and then 2 active at-large members.
Okay.
So it's 14 plus the immediate past president. So that's 15.
I'm sure managing all of those cats is really, really easy, isn't it?
Oh, I'm called the cat burner.
I mean, I've heard that once or twice. So you've mentioned a few times now the Medicaid increase, and my question is going to be, can you describe some of the major accomplishments of the Ambulance Association, in the last several years?
Oh my gosh. Well, we've had three medical assistance increases in the last 5 years.
Okay.
2018. So no, that's 6 years, in the last 6 years.
Okay.
Which is huge.
It is huge.
Yeah. And we worked for a long time to get DHS to understand that EMS was different. They took away the mileage in 2014. It used to be paid port to port minus 20 miles. They considered that the cost of doing business.
Sure.
And then they took it away in December of 2014. They said they would only pay loaded miles minus the first 20.
Yeah.
Because CMS said they can only pay loaded miles.
Right.
But then they're the ones that threw in that 20 miles.
Yeah.
So it took us 9 years to get that reversed, but it had to be done legislatively. And then in between, we're talking to DHS, we're having legislators talk to DHS, we're trying to explain to them why this is such a hardship. And they just wouldn't get it.
Okay.
We even thought about taking like the grant money and then putting it over into Medicaid and then pulling down the federal match to get a increase. Oh, no. DHS called that a scheme.
Yeah.
So we had to go legislatively. So that, I think, is huge just in the last 6 years.
And my understanding is, because it really is huge, to explain, it's the biggest Medicaid increase across the country, right? Am I wrong about that?
I actually just did. I brought this along. So what I did was I looked at other states. I went to the American Ambulance Association and I asked them if they could send me a list of all of the different states. I know. I just referred to you. So Arizona is higher in AO426, which is the Advanced Life Support Non-Emergent. In ALS Emergent, we are the highest. Arizona is higher for Basic Life Support Non-Emergent.
Okay.
We are the highest for Basic Life Support Emergent. Mileage. Maine pays $13.20, which is what we're getting, but only for the first 17 miles.
Okay.
And then ALS 2, we are the highest. And then under the specialty care transport, Oregon is the highest. So we're not the highest.
No.
But we're in a good place. We're in a good place.
A much better place than we were in just
6 years ago.
Right? So, and I know that the win was a win, but it still required more fighting afterwards, right?
It did.
Kudos to you and the group.
Thank you. Kim Walk was really instrumental with staying on top of the Department of Human Services because at first they told us this increase only applies to mileage. And we were like, oh no, it applies to everything. You need to actually read the law.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, we don't know. So we reached out to House Appropriations, Senate Appropriations, and they went to the governor's office, and then they came down to the Department of Human Services.
Never anything simple.
Yeah.
Right? That's the key here.
Absolutely. And we still don't technically have it because the state plan amendments for the mileage reimbursement could only be filed the first day of the first month that it was supposed to be enacted, which is January 1st of 2024. And we kept bugging them. Did you file it? Did you file it? They filed it February 5th.
Okay.
So CMS has 90 days. They have until May the 5th. And DHS just told us in an email yesterday that they responded to some informal questions from CMS yesterday.
Okay. Good. So nothing simple.
No.
Another one more fight, but we're moving, right?
Yes,
we are staying at the right time. So it'll be great. So, any closing remarks? And maybe I could ask you if you could tell our viewers how do they get in touch with you? What's the website for the Ambulance Association? Look into the camera and give us all that information.
All right. So you can reach me at executive director at aa-pa.org. My cell phone is also the office number, which is 717-512-5609. And our website address is www.aa-pa.org.
Thank you very much. You heard it here, folks. Get involved with your Ambulance Association. Got a lot going on in the organization under great leadership and lots more going on in the future. But we really need everybody's support would be the message I think we need to get out there. Right?
Absolutely.
More organizations to be involved. Really become members of the organization. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Enlightening and informative.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You too.